Regretting You is a 2025 comedy drama romance movie that grossed $46 million domestically and $32.4 million internationally for a total of $78.4 million worldwide on a $30 million budget, making it a genuine financial success, despite a critical consensus on Rotten Tomatoes reading simply regrettable all around, with only 27% positive reviews. This gap between commercial viability and critical failure tells us something important. The film isn't broken, it's perfectly engineered. This is a movie that knows exactly what it's doing, and what it's doing is deliberately, aggressively avoiding the story it's pretending to tell. Let's establish what Regretting You actually is. A story where Morgan discovers her husband Chris and her sister Jenny were having an affair when they died together in a car accident, while her daughter Clara navigates a budding relationship with a classmate named Miller. On paper, this is a devastatingly rich material. You have infidelity, betrayal, complicated family dynamics, grief, first love, complicated by tragedy. This is the skeleton of something genuinely compelling. I'm thinking like Manchester by the Sea type shit. But the film treats this skeleton like a checklist to hurry through, and it's based off a Colleen Hoover book. Her novels are basically assembled from emotional Mad Libs templates, and the film just speed runs through them. The opening establishes the four main characters as high schoolers. Morgan finds out she's pregnant with Chris's baby. This is the pivot point, the moment that determines the entire trajectory of everyone's lives. It should sting. It should establish the weight of consequence. Instead, the film essentially does a fade to black and jumps to 17 years later, robbing us of any understanding of how these people actually arrived at their current circumstances. The movie shows everyone as their younger selves, but pretty briefly, and we don't see anything that happens after Morgan finds out she's pregnant. This is the film's foundational choice: compress everything emotionally significant into montage, then deal only with surface-level plot mechanics. Regretting You operates like someone flipping through a mood ring. One moment, Clara is mourning her father, the next she's smoking pot in a car with muted emotional effect. Then we're in a cute romance scene, then someone's angrily destroying property, then we're back to jokes. This is not inconsistent character work. This is calculated emotional management. The film never allows any single feeling to accumulate, never lets tension build, never permits sadness to actually land. It's constantly pivoting away from depth, almost as if it's allergic to genuine emotional weight. Consider the affair revelation. This is potentially the narrative core, the moment where families shatter, where resentment calcifies, where Morgan has to reckon with the destruction of two marriages and the betrayal of her sister. In the book, Morgan takes time to come to terms with the affair, piecing together evidence. In the movie, Jonah tells Morgan almost immediately that the affair is the only explanation, and she doesn't really want to talk about it. So we skip the reckoning, the psychological territory that might actually make this a story instead of just a sequence of sad things that happen to happen. We get exposition instead of crisis. The film acknowledges the catastrophe happened, then moves on to the next plot point like we're checking boxes on a Hallmark card. There's also an entire sequence at the AMC theater where the film essentially stops being a story and becomes an advertisement, which was so obvious and funny to me. McKenna Grace's Clara goes to watch Mission Impossible, the newest one, she says. Like, why would she want to see Dead Reckoning Part 2? I don't know. There's no character logic for why Clara would want to be there watching this specific film. There's just a line of dialogue about, oh, my dad loved movies, which contradicts nothing we've established because we've established nothing about her relationship with her father. This is just symptomatic of the film's larger problem. It fills emotional gaps with commercial content instead of actually developing those gaps. When a scene requires weight, but the filmmakers have decided not to provide it, they insert product placement or a cute joke instead. It's narrative avoidance masquerading as lightness. Bro, there is so much LaCroix and Starry in this movie. Like, there's a scene where someone throws something at them on the bleachers, knocks over all their stuff, except for the Starry, the AMC and Regal sponsored drink. That's standing tall. The same logic applies to this infamous city limit sign plot device. Miller is constantly moving a city limit sign, so a pizza place will deliver to his grandfather's house. This is presented as charming and quirky, but it doesn't make any sense. The delivery driver would know the actual location regardless of where a sign is placed. The movie doesn't justify this because it does not need to. It's cute, it is harmless, and requires no emotional coherence. After the credits, Clara and Miller finally move the sign close enough to his house so he can order that pizza. The payoff comes in a post-credit scene because even the movie knows this isn't actually important enough for the main narrative. This is the film's operating principle. Populate the story with moments that feel like story beats without actually requiring any narrative or emotional justification. And the film features genuinely talented people: Allison Williams, McKenna Grace, Mason Thames, Dave Franco, Willa Fitzgerald is in this, Scott Eastwood, even Clancy Brown is in a small role. They're all actors with proven capability for nuance and depth, but they are essentially performing in a vacuum, asked to deliver emotional responses to situations the film has deliberately underdeveloped. The relationship between Clara and her father is the clearest example. In the book, Chris and Clara are very close, and Morgan and Clara have a more complicated relationship. In the movie, Clara and Morgan's relationship isn't as strained when the movie begins, so when Chris dies, Clara is supposed to be devastated, but the film has shown no evidence of deep attachment. Grace performs grief, but there's nothing beneath it. It's acting without scaffolding. When you ask talented actors to feel things the script hasn't earned, you get Oscar clip moments that feel like a YouTube tribute video. The same applies to the affair crisis. Williams and Franco are supposed to navigate complex feelings about rediscovering attraction to someone after decades of separation, but the film skips over the actual psychological territory, the guilt, the history, the complications, and just shows them kissing. Then it shows them burning Jenny's letters in a post-coital scene that's meant to feel cathartic, but just feels arbitrary. What was in those letters? How long have the affairs gone on? Do either of them feel guilt about their respective partners? These are meaningful questions the film actively refuses to explore. And here's the crucial insight. The film made money because it avoids depth. It's designed to be comfortable. You can watch it without engaging deeply, without sitting with uncomfortable emotions, without dwelling on the psychological fallout of infidelity and loss. It moves fast enough that you don't have time to notice the gaps. The tone shifts prevent accumulation of sadness. The cute moments provide relief. The romance is undemanding. This is the Colleen Hoover effect, adapted for film. It becomes content designed for maximum emotional engagement and minimum emotional complexity. The book apparently engages more deeply with these dynamics, but the film strips that away in favor of breeziness. The casting of young, attractive leads helps immensely. Mason Thames and McKenna Grace can carry scenes on charm alone, which means the film does not need to develop the emotional logic of their romance. They're likable enough that we accept their relationship without requiring meaningful narrative setup. Dave Franco and Allison Williams have enough star power and audience goodwill that we accept their characters' sudden attraction without needing to understand it. In the book, the affair revelation and the paternity uncertainty are presented as one story. In the movie, the paternity situation isn't presented as being purposeful deception. Jonah just puts two and two together when he sees his son looks like Chris. This is a perfect example of how the film trades thematic complexity for plot simplification. A deliberate deception, Jenny using Jonah as cover, creates moral ambiguity and psychological depth. Coincidental discovery is just something that happens. The film removes the element that would complicate the characters' emotional responses and give them something meaningful to work through. Everything is made simpler, safer, and easier to process. The result is a film where information feels generated from nowhere because emotional logic has been stripped away. Clara says she wants to see Mission Impossible because her dad loved movies, but we've never seen evidence of this. The film provides exposition divorced from character development. People say things characters should have motivation to say, but we haven't been shown that motivation. The raw material here is genuinely strong. You have two people who are in love with the wrong partners in high school, who built entire lives with other people, who discover after decades that there was actual connection they never explored. That's a real story. Complicated, messy, potentially moving. You also have a young woman coming of age during family catastrophe, discovering that people she trusted weren't who she thought they were. That's a real story too. But Regretting You treats these materials like obstacles to overcome, rather than stories to explore. It wants you to consume the plot without feeling anything too intensely. It wants you entertained, not moved, comfortable, not challenged. And here's what's infuriating and admirable in equal measure. It works. The film made $78 million because audiences don't necessarily want depth. They want to spend 2 hours in a world where attractive people have romantic experiences and sad things happen, but not too sadly, and everything resolves comfortably. They want the Hallmark version of tragedy as aesthetic rather than as a psychological experience. The film's 27% critical score doesn't matter because critics aren't the audience. Critics want narrative coherence and emotional logic. That's me. And honestly, I enjoyed this movie, guys. I was laughing, though, because it's so fucking ridiculous. General audiences want to feel something without being made uncomfortable. Regretting You delivers the latter perfectly. It's a comfort object disguised as a story. It has all the external markers of drama, affairs, death, family conflict, romance, but it's engineered to avoid the actual weight of those elements. It's a film that lets you experience the idea of emotion without the burden of actually feeling it deeply.